I never, ever thought I would have to make this video. And that is a guide for Floowandereeze and Duel Links. Yes, that is right. Floowandereeze has been released in Duel Links, and it's something that I never expected to ever happen. Floowandereeze is one of my favorite decks of all time, and I just cannot believe it's in Duel Links now. I legitimately quit Duel Links a while ago and told myself the only thing that can bring me back is Floo being released. And wouldn't you know, a month later, here we are. Floo is out, and I'm making a guide to teach you guys how to play it. So before we get into the nitty-gritty and, how to build the deck and how to play the deck, let's go briefly over what Floowandereeze is. Floowandereeze is a series of winged beast monsters featuring these little birds, the titular Floowandereeze, as they travel on a little adventure, basically migrate. And along the way over this adventure, they meet all these other different birds. Some are friendly, some birds not so friendly. Now, the way Floowandereeze plays is in a way that's made it a little controversial with the overall Yu-Gi-Oh community. Floo is a deck that only conducts normal summons. And you might be saying, well, how exactly does the deck function using only normal summons in a world where we only get one? Well, that's where the effect of all the Floowandereeze monsters come in, where each have the line of text that after they resolve their first effect, you then are able to immediately normal summon another monster, which leads to the very hilarious joke of, my brother in Christ, there is nothing normal about your summon. So following this, we have just this endless conga line of these little birds that eventually bring out really big powerhouses. So with that brief overview out of the way, let's talk about what Floo can do in Duel Links. First of all, there are two very important pieces of the Floowandereeze deck that are not in Duel Links. One being Mist Valley Apex Avian. The other unfortunate key piece of the Floowandereeze deck is Barrier Statue of the Stormwinds, which, thank God, none of the barrier statues are in Duel Links because they're just toxic. Be thankful that it's not in the game. So before we go over how to play the deck, how to build the deck, and all that other good stuff, let's first go over what is actually included in the Floowandereeze archetype. We'll start with our small birds, but let me tell you, all the small birds share similar lines of text on each of them. All our level ones, all our normal summons, all have the same effect. If this face-up card would leave the field, bash instead. This is a replacement effect, meaning if your Floowandereeze bird is face-up on the field and would leave it for any reason, it will be banished instead. They also all have the same effect of, if you use the effect of the Floowandereeze monster, you cannot special summon during the turn you activate this effect. As well, they all share the same last line of text that says, if a winged beast monster is normal summoned to your field while this card is banished, you can add this card to your hand. So not only do the Floo cards force themselves into the banished zone, but they will also come back if you normal summon another winged beast. To start off our actual Floowandereeze cards, we have Floowandereeze and Rabina. If this card is normal summoned, you can add one level 4 lower winged beast monster from your deck to your hand. Then immediately after this effect resolves, you can normal summon one winged beast monster. So Rabina, of course, is the best starter for Floowandereeze. Rabina just adds quite literally any of your other small Floo monsters, or if you already have everything you could possibly want in terms of the Floo archetype in your hand, Rabina can then instead add a card like DD Crow or any of those other like smaller winged beast monsters. But if we're talking about the usual line, Rabina would add Floowandereeze and Eaglet. If this card is normal summon, you can add one level 7 or higher winged beast monster from your deck to your hand. Then immediately after this effect resolves, you can normal summon one winged beast monster. Eaglet is what gets us to any of our bigger birds. This could be the in-archetypes Empen or Snarl, or something like one of the big Simorg bosses, Ryza, or Earthbound Immortal Rasca. We will talk about him later. Next up, we have Floowandereeze and Stree. If this card is normal summon, you can target one card in either graveyard, banish it. Then immediately after this effect resolves, you can normal summon one winged beast monster. The Stree is kind of nice. Stree is usually the one of in the deck because the effect just doesn't always get to go off. Stree loses the target that they would banish. They do not get the effect to normal summon. So Stree is a very stoppable card. Usually you might find yourself getting rid of Stree for an effect like Advent of Adventure or Swallow's Carry, so you can instead find a better bird. And to round out our small birds, we have Floowandereeze and Toucan. This card normals, you can target one of your banished Floowandereeze cards, add it to your hand, then immediately after this effect resolves, you can normal summon one winged beast monster. Toucan is a very good card. Toucan is a card that lets you essentially recur any Floowandereeze card that has been sent to the Banisher zone, whether that's a small bird that's already activated its return effect, or if one of your big birds or Floowandereeze spell traps have gone to the Banished zone, Toucan can bring it back. Following that, we have our bigger birds in the Floowandereeze archetype. We have Floowandereeze and M-Pen. If this card is tribute summoned, you can add one Floowandereeze spell trap from your deck to your hand, and then immediately after this effect resolves, you can also summon one monster. While this tribute summon card is in the monster zone, your opponent cannot activate the effects of special summon monsters they control in attack position. Once per battle, during damage calculation, this card battles an opponent's monster quick effect, you can banish one card from your hand. That opponent's monster's current attack defense becomes halved until the end of this turn. Where do we start with M-Pen? Well, first of all, Mr. Konami, where's the once per turn? That is right, M-Pen does not contain a once per turn at all. Of course, there's also the line of text I kind of glanced over, the floodgate, because yes, M-Pen is a floodgate that stops the effects of any special summon monsters in attack position on the opponent's field. This is particularly powerful against Link decks since they are forced to put all their cards in attack position. M-Pen is one of the cards that gave Floo its worst impression on the player base. People really do not like floodgates that are easily brought out like this, and the fact that M-Pen is also not a once per turn, meaning we can just search as many spell traps as we want as long as we keep. To round out our Floowandereeze monsters, we have Floowandereeze and Snao. Once per turn, while you control this tribute summon card, can conduct up to 3 normal summons / sets this turn, not just one. While this tribute summon card is in the monster zone, if your monster attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing battle damage to your opponent. And once per opponent's turn, quick effect, you can banish one card from your hand, change all special summon monsters your opponent controls to face down defense position. So I'll be real, Snao is probably the least played card of the entire Floowandereeze archetype next to the counter trap that's really bad. In most versions of Floowandereeze, they don't usually play Snao. I know I always played Snao, mostly in like the Kashtira format, but thanks to the smaller card pool of Duel Links, we do actually find space for Snao here. But he does have a lot of relevant effects. The piercing is really nice. He gives blanket piercing to your entire board. It is just Book of Eclipse on legs, which is really nice. And the bonus 3 normal summons that are also on Snao do sometimes come up. That is it for the monsters. Now let's talk about the Floowandereeze spell traps. First of all, we have Floowandereeze and the Advent of Adventure. It's a quick play spell. You banish one Floowandereeze monster from your hand or face of field and add one Floowandereeze monster or Floowandereeze field spell from your deck to your hand, then gain 500 life points. And you can only activate one Floowandereeze and Advent Adventure once per turn. This is pretty cool. So because Advent says that it just banishes a winged beast monster from hand or field, that means that you can use this to dodge targeting cards such as Effect Veiler, Infinite Impermanence, and it lets you add any Floo bird and Floo field spell. Speaking of the field spell, we have Floowandereeze and Magnificent Map. During your main phase, you can reveal one level 1 Floowandereeze monster in your hand and banish one Floowandereeze card with a different name from your deck, and then immediately after this effect resolves, normal summon the revealed monster. That's a crazy effect. This just banishes any Floowandereeze card you want, as long as you have a normal summonable bird in hand. This can set up a chain block effect for your Floowandereeze normal summon. Let's say we're trying to normal summon Rabina, we would go activate map, reveal Rabina, banish Eaglin, then normal summon the Rabina effect activates, then we chain the Eaglin effect in banish because the Floowandereeze effects in banish are trigger effects, meaning they happen on the chain before the opponent gets a chance to respond, unless they have a card like Solemn Judgment. Map also says, if your opponent normal summons a monster, immediately after this effect resolves, you can normal summon one Floowandereeze monster. And then you can only use each effect of Floowandereeze Magnificent Map once per turn. Following that, we have the Floowandereeze Continuous spell. Floowandereeze in the Unexplored Winds. You can conduct tribute summons that require 2 tributes by sending one monster you control and one card your opponent controls to the graveyard instead of tributing. This is still treated as a tribute summon. During your main phase, you can reveal up to 2 Winged Beast monsters in your hand and place them on the bottom of the deck in any order, then draw cards equal to the number of cards placed. And you can only use this effect of Floowandereeze in the Unexplored Winds once per turn. So what this card lets us do is lets us basically break through the opponent's board, or if we've gone first, when they try to make any kind of plays, such as a normal summon, map will then let us normal summon, then we can just start tributing over the cards they put onto the board, giving us a lot of freedom where you'd think Floowandereeze would be more limited because of how many zones we have in Duel Links. This basically lets us get around that by just tributing cards the opponent controls to then normal summon our birds. And of course, it has the effect to cycle back wing beasts that we might not need, So we have a card in hand like Rasca, like Snarl that we don't really want turn 1. We can put them back and just draw 2 brand new cards. And the last Floowandereeze card in Duel Links is Floowandereeze and the Dreaming Town. During the main phase, immediately after this effect resolves, normal summon 1 level 4 or lower winged beast monster. If you summon a level 7 or higher monster while this card is in your graveyard, you can banish this card. You should launch your opponent controls to face down defense position. Usually in the 1 card combo line off Rabina, we'll be ending on this trap card being added off the effect of M-Pen, so then we'll be able to just start doing our normal summon chains on the opponent's turn when they really like commit something to the board. And we'd be summoning into the level 7 or higher winged beast, so then we would be able to Book of Eclipse their board. Let's talk about how to build this. Alright, so what we have here now is what I would describe as my optimal Floowandereeze deck. This is not maxing out, but this is really what I would like to play in terms of non-engine to engine ratios. So we would be playing 3 Floowandereeze and Rabina, 3 Floowandereeze and Eaglin, 1 Stree, 2 Toucan, 2 M-Pen, 1 Snarl, 1 Rasca, 3 Advent Adventure, 1 Pot of Duality, 1 Swallow's Carry, 2 Book of Eclipse, 3 of the Field Spell, 1 Unexplored Winds, 1 Icarus Attack, and 1 Dreaming Town. There is also a world where we could play extra deck monsters, but it's not too often that we'd go into the extra deck in the first place. It'd be much better if we had like an SP Little Knight or something like that, where we could just go, okay, Link Karibo SP, there we go, banish, next turn, trap, and then we start doing Floo stuff again. But that's not relevant here for Duel Links. Let's go over our skill. Destiny Draw, Vermilion Sparrow. You can only use one of the skill's first or second effects per turn, 1 effect per turn, and once each per duel. Can be used before your normal draw. This turn, one of your cards from your normal draw will be an Icarus Attack or random Winged Beast monster from your deck. Then you can activate Icarus Attack from your hand. 2. Reveal 1 Winged Beast monster or 1 trap card in your hand, then either place that card in the bottom of your deck or send it to the graveyard. Then draw 2 cards. Very, very crazy skill. So the biggest thing with the skill, besides the fact that it hits you an Icarus Attack, which is an insane trap card, is that it also combos really well with the Floowandereeze monsters. We play a lot of big birds who need at least 2 tributes to even be summoned. So if we have too many of those in hand, we gotta put one of them back and draw 2. As well, it has the other effect where we can send a card to grave, which means we can then banish that card from grave with the effect of Floowandereeze and Stree, which is pretty cool. You also have the randomized effect where if you don't want to add Icarus Attack off your normal draw, you can just get any Winged Beast. Alright, so we've gone over the deck, so let's see the most basic of basic lines that starts with just one Rabina. So, it'll of course be normal swing that Rabina, activating the effect, which adds us an Eaglin to our hand. It will then be normal swing that Eaglin, which then gets us an M-Pen from the deck. Then we go Tribute Summon. These 2 go to the banished zone. We normal summon the M-Pen. We go activate the M-Pen effect, then activate the effect of one of our 2 birds. This adds the bird back to our hand, and M-Pen then adds us the trap. We set the trap. So let's go over the basics of some lines that are 2 to 3 card combos. The thing is, we have so much draw power with the skill, with duality, so we're essentially seeing a lot of options every single hand. This is just a quick example. This is what we opened with. We have Advent, Toucan, Eaglin, so we'll go activate the Advent, banishing the Toucan. This allows us to add Map from our deck to our hand. Grave. We then activate the Map, revealing the Eaglin in hand. We're going to do all this without getting Rabina, by the way. So from here, we're going to go ahead and banish Unexplored Winds to then normal summon the Eaglin. Activate Eaglin effect, activate Toucan effect. Toucan adds itself back to our hand, and Eaglin will then be adding us an M-Pen from our hand. We then immediately normal summon the Toucan. Toucan adds this back the Unexplored Winds. Then we immediately normal summon the M-Pen. Activating M-Pen effect, and then activating Eaglin, adding itself back to hand, and we get to add the Dreaming Town. So now we have Continuous Spell, and we have Dreaming Town as well as Map set up already. Alright, this will be an example of a combo that allows you to activate the effect of M-Pen twice. Alright, so we're going to lead with the Advent Adventure, banishing the M-Pen, and we'll be adding us a copy of Map. Going to be activating the Map, revealing our copy of Toucan, and banishing a Rabina from our deck. We will normal summon the Toucan, Toucan effect chain 1, Rabina chain 2. Toucan will be targeting the M-Pen, adding the M-Pen back to our hand, and of course we'll be also adding the Rabina. We will then immediately normal summon the Rabina, add ourselves a copy of Eaglin, then we will be immediately normal summoning the Eaglin, activating its effect to add us the second copy of M-Pen. From there, we will tribute 1, tribute 2, to then normal summon one of the M-Pens. We will use M-Pen 1, we have Eaglin 2, add Eaglin to hand, and M-Pen will add us the Dreaming Town. Following that, we then tribute over M-Pen Toucan for the second one, and then this M-Pen, chain 1, Toucan, chain 2, adding Toucan back to hand, and the Unexplored Winds also to hand. So then we get to set the Winds, and we get to set the Dreaming Town, leaving us with 2 cards that can be normal summoned next turn, Rabina in the Banish Zone for chain blocking, and of course, 2 different ways to start our normal summons. Next up, we're going to cover a line for Rasca. I do not particularly like Rasca, but it's what people are playing in Duel Links, so we'll go ahead and show that off. Of course, we need some way of accessing the field spell, whether that is from an Advent Adventure or an M-Pen. For this example, we're just going to start with Advent in our hand. So it'll be Advent effect, activate, revealing the Rabina. We'll go ahead and banish a copy of Toucan. We'll then be normal summoning the Rabina. Rabina 1, Toucan 2, adding the Toucan to hand. We'll be adding a copy of Eaglin from our deck to our hand. We'll then, of course, be normal summoning the Eaglin, activating the effect to now add us the Rasca. From here, we can now normal summon Toucan for no effect. The Toucan doesn't really matter what bird it is, it just needs to be another bird to get on field. So, as you may notice, we didn't use our normal summon. From here, we can then go tribute over Rabina, tribute over Eaglin, and let Rasca hit the board. Rasca's effect will trigger on summon, and we can shuffle back 3 cards we control. So we'll shuffle back the map, Rasca itself, Toucan. This would also, by the way, trigger the effects of any Floo that had not brought itself back yet to add itself back to our hand. Then, by doing that, we then loop 1, 2, and from there we have looped 3 cards from the opponent's hand, leaving them down very little. This was the simplest Rasca line. This is implying we have nothing else, we just did Rasca and now we're passing. But there's of course plenty of ways to do the Rasca line with also having some follow-up. Alright, and with the basics all covered there, I'd say that's a wrap on this video. I want to say, first of all, I have been greatly enjoying playing Floowandereeze and Duel Links. Honestly, I think the deck is pretty well positioned in the metagame. A lot of good Link decks going around right now. Overall, I think the deck is a lot of fun. I think, if anything, it's great for people who want a different experience from playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And I will highly recommend checking it out if you just want to play Yu-Gi-Oh! But different. As well, I'll say here at the end of the video that if you have any further questions about how to play Floo, what else you could include in the deck, what kind of future cards we should be looking out for, leave that in the comments below. I'll gladly answer any other comments about the deck, or maybe if I said something wrong or messed something up in the video, you can ask down there, I'll clarify, or I'll correct myself. Also, of course, if you just think the way I built the deck is completely wrong, or you don't like my lines, or you have something more optimal, go ahead and leave that in the comments as well. I look forward to hearing from everyone. So, with that said, I want to say thank everyone again for watching. I really appreciate that I got the opportunity to make this video, and that I'm getting to share the love of one of my favorite decks with all of you. Alright, that's it for me. Thanks again. Bye.